my name is Mrs. Drafts, and I teach second grade at Adrian Burnett Elementary School. And I'm here today to help you review some math. Welcome, boys and girls. My family and I are trying to stay in just as much as we can to help ourselves stay healthy. And so I'm making this video right here in my kitchen. So it's kind of different for me, but I'm glad to have somebody to talk to, and I'm so excited to get to talk about math. So I want to start us out today by doing a number talk. We're just talking about some numbers, kind of get our minds thinking about numbers. So this will be some review. Everything we do on our video is reviewing things that your teacher has already taught you this year. And so it should be things that you just think, oh yeah, I remember when we did that. So let's think about 10. Real easy, the number 10. Think about all the ways you can make 10. 10 facts, your teacher may have called them. I'll do the first one for you. 1 plus 9 equals 10. Can you come up with some more? So if I increase this addend by 1 more and make it a 2, then this addend will need to, decrease by 1. And so that I know that 2 and 8 can give me 10. I can keep going with this same pattern. 1, 2, 3. As these go up, these are going to go down. So there's lots of ways that we can make 10. I'm going kind of fast with this because this is really review for you second graders. Are we okay with making 10s, 10 facts? Perfect. Keep thinking about 10s. And now let's try to make 100. Ooh, it just got a little harder. Second grade. Think of 10s that you can put together to make 100. Let me get us started. 10 plus 90 would equal 100. So my addends are 10 and 90. What else could we come up with? Think about this same pattern. We don't have to list these in a pattern, but it helps keep our mind kind of in order, organize our thoughts. So if we increase this addend to 20, we can decrease this one to 80, and we can get 100. Let's skip ahead. Let's think if we have 10, and we want to add 50 more to it. So that's a 10. Let's add 5 more 10s to it. Uh-oh, I think you can tell where I'm headed. Let's count them together. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Yep. So if we increase this addend to 60, what are we going to need to do with this addend, the 90? We still want to have 100, and we increase this one. What should we do to that one? Decrease. You're right. So if we have 90, that looks like this. Can you see me? 9 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. They're all there. And if we want to decrease it by 50, there they go. So we have 4 10s left. That would be, you got it, 40. So we can take 10 facts. We can change them into 100 facts. We can put them together any way we want to make the addends equal the sum of 100. Let's get a little harder. Think about those addends. Now, when they're right on the 10, that's easy because we know that it's easy, even on a number line when you stop at the 10. But sometimes you won't be right at the 10. Sometimes you're going to be at, a little off of that 40, off of that 10. But you still need to add some numbers together. So think about 43 and 52. How would we add those two numbers together? Now, we have some strategies. Any moms or dads or grandparents that are watching with us, we use the word strategies a lot because those are ways, or that's a plan that we can use to solve a problem. So the problem is we have 2 addends. We're trying to add together to get the sum. We don't know the sum. So one strategy that you might be able to do is mental math. Think about that for a minute and see if you could do that in your head without even writing anything down. There's a few of you that probably can. If you already know that number, write it down somewhere and let's see if your number matches mine. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to maybe look at the tens. There's a 10 and there's a 10. 4 tens and 5 tens. 4 plus 5. I can do that really quick in my head. 4 plus 5 is 9. You got it. And so that's in the tens place. So I've got 9 tens. And then if I had a 3 and a 2, really fast, you got it. That's a 5. And so when those place values sit down, we know that this 9 is worth a 90 in this problem. And we know that this 1, if he's in the ones chair, he's just worth 5. So if they sit down together, then we have 95. What kind of form is that written in? Do you remember? Yep, standard form. Standard form. Check that paper that you wrote the answer down on. Those of you that said you could do this mental math, did you get 95? Perfect. So standard form is when you write the number just regular. When we pull it apart or break apart the addends, we call that expanded form. This is an equation. So these are just some words that you probably remember, but I just wanted to make sure that they're still in your brain, floating around there. Great number talk. So let's get started. I'm going to review for you Unit 2, and you'll be receiving a math packet. Math in Action is what it is. It's at the end of your Unit 2 in your book. You can access that. Parents, you can go to the Knox County School website and download that. If you have a printer at home, you can print that out and have your children work on it. If you don't have access to a computer or printer, you can pick up the packets at the food distribution sites. There's 25 sites throughout Knox County, and you can pick those up on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can also pick up food for your family if that's something that your family needs at this time. So the packets will be at the food distribution centers, and you can go to Knox County Schools website to see where those are. And or you can just drive through and pick them up at the food distribution sites. All right, here we go. So we're going to get harder. It's real TV, guys. We're going to take some numbers and we're going to add them together. We're going to take 3-digit numbers because it's going to get harder, right? You learned a lot in 2nd grade. So we're going to do 254. That's a big number. Take a minute to look at that. Plus 328. Let that soak in for just a minute. So that's a 3-digit plus 3-digit add-in. And we're looking for the, what do you call the answer to an addition problem? The sum. S-U-M, the sum. And I'm going to put a question mark to represent the unknown sum because we don't know what it is. Now, we talked about that word strategies. And we're going to have to come up with some strategies to figure this out because we all know that everybody's brain does not work the same way. And you might think it's easier to draw a picture or to use what we call base 10. You might like a number line. So there's different strategies you can use to get this answer. Let's talk about some strategies. I'm going to show you 3 different strategies that really come to my mind. I want to make sure you remember those and you can use those when you get ready to do your Math in Action page. All right, so the first strategy is called base 10. I'm going to write that down. Base 10. That's where you draw a picture. That's probably our easiest strategy. That's the first strategy that you learned. And it looks like this. So the 2 represents the hundreds spot. So if there's 2 hundreds, hundreds look like this. They're big squares. Remember that? And this is in the tens chair, and there's 5 of them. And so the tens, they look like this. Now, I didn't cross it because these aren't really tally marks right now, boys and girls. These are my 10 rods, and so I just want to show them all 5 of those. And then this 4 is in the ones chair, so he represents ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember those little bitty squares, those little cubes? So we have 254. So this strategy is called base 10. So I'll have to keep going and draw this one out. 1, 2, 3, 2 tens, and 8 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a far stretch. Look at those squares. They're kind of squished. Let's check. 3 hundreds, 2 tens, 8 ones. Now, if you want to add them together, here's what you do. Let's count the hundreds first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I saw 5 hundreds. Let's count those tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like to go back and check myself because sometimes my brain goes really fast and my hand can't keep up. So I went back and I marked them out so that I knew I've already used the hundreds and I've used the tens. What's left? The ones. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Uh-oh. Now we have a problem. There's my ones chair, and I counted 12 ones, but I can't put 2 digits in that same spot. There's another strategy that we can use. Does anybody know what that is? Yep, regrouping. I'm going to write a word right here. I'll write it in this blue. Regroup. I've got to regroup. This is not going to work. So I'm going to take this 1, mark it out, and move it over here because this 1 is in the tens spot in a 12. So if it's a 10, it goes over here in the tens chair. So now instead of 7 here, I'll have 8. The 2 gets to stay. Look what happens to the 100. I didn't mess with him, so he gets to stay the same. Look at that for just a second. 582. Does that look right to you? So you have your base 10 where you draw it out. You may have to regroup. And when you set all the numbers together, sit down together, that's called standard form. Perfect. So base 10 is one strategy that you could use. Let's move on. Maybe you don't like base 10. Maybe you think it took too long. Maybe you just want to get a little harder. That's good too. So this time we're going to break apart those add-ins. All right, here we go. So if we had 254 and 328, and we wanted to add them together, you can break it apart, pull it apart. You might want to call it expanded form, but we're going to break apart the add-ins. If you were going to get 254, you could add together 200 from the 100 spot. You could add a 50 and a 4. And all that would equal to you 254. Let me get that out of the way. You could break this apart into 300 plus 20 plus 8. Perfect. Then you can add them back together. 8 and 4 is 12. 50 and 20. Quick, quick, quick. 70. 300 and 200. 500. Now if we add those together, that's a plus. Let me make it look like a plus. 570 plus 12. I can hook together. I see some 10s here. 70 plus 12. I can kind of do that in my head and get 82 and then move the 5 on over with it. I get 582. So we call this strategy break apart the add-ins. Or you might want to call it expanded form. So now you have 2 strategies. Now we need the hardest. I think it's the hardest strategy. Your brain might love it. You might think this is the easiest strategy. Let me clear off my board here. We're going to be working with the same numbers. That's real important that just because you use a strategy that's different from your neighbors, you still have to get the same sum. The strategies may be different, but the end has to be the same. So Here's a number line. Now, the boys and girls in my class this year thought this was hard. Maybe you're going to think it's easy. So for some of our parents that are watching, we call this an open number line. I am saying that to the parents because I know that these boys and girls remember open number line. That's a number line with no dots, no numbers, nothing. It's open because we're going to use it the way we want to, the way our brain sees things. So we're going to add these two numbers, 254, 328. We have to start somewhere. Which number would you like to start with? Now, it kind of makes a difference. One way is easier, and one way would involve more jumping. Which one would you think would be the easiest one to start with that would make us have to jump around the least amount? Which number should go first if we don't want to do that much work? Yep, 328, because it's bigger. It's bigger, so we'll put the bigger number first, and then we don't have to do as much jumping. Since I've already used that whole number, I'm going to draw a line through the whole thing. That way I know I don't need to do anything else with that number. There it is. Now I'm going to add these to it. I'm going to jump around on this number line. So I've got some hundreds, some tens, and some ones. This is my ones chair, tens, and hundreds. All right, which one do you want to start with? Really doesn't matter. We could jump the ones, the tens, the hundreds. I like to take care of the big guy first. So I'm going to start with the 2, which represents 200. If I'm at 328, and I'm only going to do the 200, I'm going to jump. These are pretty big jumps because each jump is worth 100. So if I'm at 328 and I jump 100, I'm going to end up at 428. If I jump another 100, I'm going to be at, 528. And I've jumped 100 and 100. That takes care of my 200s. Now I'm going to take care of this 5. He's in the tens chair, so he's worth 50. Every time I jump, he's going to be worth 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. You could jump it all in one jump of 50. I like to jump my tens little, just in case someone needs me to really show them what it looks like. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I'm going to put a 10 over each jump. Let me make sure they're all there. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. All right, so we're on 528. The only number that's going to be changing is in which chair, which place? The hundreds? Is he going to change? Is the 10 going to change? Or the 1? Yeah, the 10 is going to change because we're jumping tens. Here we go. 528, 538, 548, 558, 568, 578. Let's make sure. Let's just look at the 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we are, 578. There are the 5s that were in the tens chair. Now I need to take care of the 1s. How many 1s do you see? 4. Here we go. So these are little bitty jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put a 1 over those. You can see that? Let me zoom in. So here we go. 578, 579, 580, 581, 580. What'd you get? 2. There you go. And we've used the 4s. We can check ourselves to make sure we did this right by using an equation. I'm going to use my purple marker. So our equation would be, we have 328, but we were supposed to add 254. Do you think we have 254 jumps? Let's make sure. What do we have here? 200. How many tens? 5, so that would be 50. And then we had 4 extras. This is an expanded form. Let's smash it together and put it in standard form. So we have 2 in the hundreds place, 5 in the tens, 4 in the ones. Uh-oh, look right here. We did it right. Yay! So we started with this add-in. We jumped 254 jumps. We checked ourselves. And so what's the answer? A lot of work here, boys and girls, but what were we trying to find out? 254 plus 328. We started with 328 because we know because of the, we can change and flip-flop our add-ins, change the order of the add-ins, and it still makes the same answer or the same sum. So our answer is right here, 582. I put a box around it, an answer box, because a lot of times when you do this much work, it's hard to tell where your answer really is. So you put that square around it so you know exactly where your answer is to your question. So let's think about what all we've done today. We started with 10 facts. That was really review. And we moved into making hundreds facts. And then we talked about how we could move those numbers around and how if one added went up, the other had to go down when we made hundreds facts. Then we moved into adding 3 digits plus 3 digits to get the sum, 3-digit sum. We talked a little bit about regrouping. We talked about base 10 strategy. We talked about breaking apart the numbers in expanded form. That would be a great strategy. We talked about the number line, and then we've used lots of equations today. So think about all these things that you learned in Unit 2, and you'll be able to do your review packet when you get that, either through the website or through the distribution site. In the packet, you're going to be working with the characters in the bake shop. You're familiar with the characters. I'm sure your teachers, you've gone over all the videos. Well, all the characters that are in the bake shop have an order that they have to fill for cookies. So you're going to have to come up with ways to fill the order for the cookies. The people that are ordering, they want between 400 and 500 cookies, but they want 3 different kinds of cookies, and they want them to be the same amounts of each kind. So you've got some thinking to do. So when you get ready to do that, boys and girls, think about the strategies that we learned and how those might help you when you do your review packet. Thanks for tuning in. Check back with us next week, and maybe you'll see me again or maybe someone else. But I'm glad you're staying in. I'm glad you're staying safe and healthy, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.